I, Sarah, am currently 4 months pregnant at 28, working as a project manager at a Seattle-based tech company. My husband, Michael, and I have been trying to conceive for the past 2 years. There were moments when the weight of our struggle felt crushing, especially after two devastating miscarriages. But against all odds, we finally received the news we'd been hoping for. This pregnancy means everything to us. Michael and I have been through so much together: countless doctor's appointments, disappointing test results, and the emotional roller coaster of fertility treatments. We've held each other through the tears and celebrated every small milestone. Given our history of loss, we made the conscious decision to keep this pregnancy private until we felt more secure about its progression. My phone has been constantly buzzing with WhatsApp messages from my family, especially my mom, Diana, wondering why I've been missing our usual family gatherings. My sister, Emma, who's younger by 2 years, has been particularly persistent. She works at an advertising agency and just got promoted to account executive. Our family group chat has been filled with congratulatory messages and heart emojis for her achievement. Emma's life hasn't been easy lately. Last year, she was supposed to have her dream wedding at the Grand Hyatt downtown. Everything was meticulously planned, from her designer dress to the elaborate flower arrangements she kept posting about on Instagram. But the night before the wedding, her fans cheated on her with a coworker at his bachelor party. The videos somehow made their way to social media before we could contain the damage. Instead of facing Emma himself, her fans sent his best man to deliver the news that he was backing out. We had to cancel everything while dealing with a flood of concerned messages from guests and watching Emma's perfectly curated wedding hashtag turn into a source of public humiliation. The emotional and financial fallout was devastating. Since then, Emma threw herself into her work at the advertising agency. Her Instagram feed transformed from wedding planning to career motivation quotes and office selfies. When she landed this promotion, she insisted on throwing a party and practically begged me to come. Her WhatsApp messages grew more frequent. "Sis, you haven't been to any family events lately, and I really need you there. Everyone's coming." My parents, James and Diana, joined in too, constantly asking why I was being so distant. After weeks of pressure and not wanting to disappoint them further, I finally agreed to attend. The party preparation. The evening of Emma's party, I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, scrutinizing my reflection. The navy blue maxi dress I'd chosen did a decent job of concealing my growing bump, but I still felt self-conscious. I'd already seen Emma's Instagram story, showing off the party decorations. Everything was perfectly coordinated for maximum social media impact, with a professional photographer on standby. "Are you sure you want to go?" Michael asked, adjusting his tie after coming home from his engineering job at the construction firm. His concerned eyes met mine in the mirror. "We could always say you're not feeling well. Emma's already going live on Instagram with the party preparations." I sighed, checking my phone. Mom's commenting on every single post about how the whole family will finally be together again. I can't back out now. I'd planned everything carefully, from the shapewear that would help conceal my pregnancy to the excuse that I was on a new medication that prevented me from drinking. The last thing I wanted was to redirect attention from Emma's professional achievement to my personal news, especially given how hard she'd worked to rebuild her life after the wedding disaster. At the party. The party was exactly as Emma's social media previews had suggested. Elaborate decorations transformed her backyard into what looked like a magazine spread, with professional lighting set up for optimal photos. My sister was in her element, dressed in a designer outfit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, posing for pictures with her coworkers while going live on Instagram. Sarah, Diana, my mother, rushed over as soon as I arrived. Her eyes immediately scanned my figure. Sweetie, your face looks different. Have you been stress eating with all those projects' deadlines? I forced a laugh, the excuse I'd rehearsed ready on my lips. Just been busy with work, Mom. The tech industry doesn't sleep. I quickly diverted attention by asking about Emma's promotion details. The night progressed with Emma at the center of attention, which was exactly what I'd hoped for. She was in her element, delivering an emotional speech about her career journey while her friend recorded for social media. I found myself retreating to quieter corners, the combination of loud music and various food smells making me queasy. Michael kept checking on me between conversations, bringing water, and making sure I had places to sit. The party seemed to go on endlessly, with Emma insisting on just one more group photo for her Instagram feed every few minutes. Later that evening, as the party continued into the night, the combination of fatigue, nausea, and the overwhelming heat from all the professional lighting equipment forced me to retreat inside. I found a quiet spot on Emma's leather couch, away from the Instagram perfect party scene in the backyard. The muffled sound of dance music and laughter filtered through the glass doors as I closed my eyes for what I thought would be just a moment. "Well, don't you look absolutely glowing?" The sudden voice startled me awake. My Aunt Patricia had settled beside me, her designer perfume almost overwhelming my sensitive nose. She held out a glass of expensive champagne, the kind Emma always featured in her social media posts. "Come on, you haven't celebrated your sister's success properly yet." I politely declined, my heart racing. "I'm just tired from work. You know how tech projects can be." Aunt Patricia's eyes narrowed, studying my face with the intensity of someone who prided herself on being the family's secret keeper. "Tired? No, there's something different about you." I've seen that look before. Her eyes widened with sudden recognition. "Sarah, are you pregnant?" My attempt to laugh it off failed miserably. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks as I avoided her gaze. Before I could stop her, Aunt Patricia reached out and placed her hand on my stomach. Her gasp told me she'd felt the unmistakable firmness of my baby bump. "Oh my God, you are!" she exclaimed, her voice carrying more than I would have liked. "This is wonderful news." "Please, Aunt Patricia," I whispered urgently, glancing toward the backyard where Emma was still doing her Instagram live session. "I don't want to announce it yet. This is Emma's night, and after everything with the wedding last year." But Aunt Patricia was already standing up, her face lit with excitement. "Don't be silly. This is a family gathering. It's the perfect time to share such beautiful news. Everyone has been so worried about you after the last two." She trailed off, but the mention of my previous losses still stung. I watched in horror as she stepped through the sliding doors onto the patio, where Emma was in the middle of taking group photos for her social media. The professional photographer she'd hired was adjusting the lighting as Aunt Patricia tapped her wine glass with a spoon. The announcement. "Everyone, I have something amazing to share." Aunt Patricia's voice carried across the backyard. The photographer's lights created an almost theatrical spotlight effect as all eyes turned toward her. I could see Emma's live stream continuing on her phone, which she'd propped up nearby. My heart pounded as I struggled to stand from the couch, desperate to stop what was about to happen. But it was too late. Aunt Patricia's voice rang out clear and excited. "Our Sarah is pregnant." The backyard erupted in chaos. The carefully choreographed party atmosphere dissolved as family members rushed toward me, their reactions being captured in real time on Emma's still-running Instagram Live. Diana, my mother, pushed through the crowd with tears streaming down her face, while my father James stood speechless, his champagne glass frozen halfway to his lips. "Is it true?" Mom grabbed my hands, her eyes searching my face. After all this time, after everything, why didn't you tell us? Michael appeared at my side, his arm protectively around my waist. We wanted to wait until we were past the first trimester, he explained, his voice steady but tense. Given our history, I caught sight of Emma through the crowd. She stood rigid by the photo backdrop she'd arranged, her phone still broadcasting to her followers. The forced smile on her face didn't reach her eyes. With deliberate movements, she ended her live stream and walked to the bar setup, pouring herself another glass of champagne. The confrontation. The party's focus had completely shifted. What was supposed to be a celebration of Emma's career achievement had turned into an impromptu baby shower. Even the photographer had started taking candid shots of my family's reactions to the pregnancy news. 4 months, I heard Emma's voice, sharp and clear, over the excited chatter. She stood by the bar, gripping her champagne glass. You've been pregnant for 4 months and didn't tell any of us? Not even Mom? The party crowd fell silent, sensing the tension. Emma's Instagram perfect makeup couldn't hide the flush of anger rising in her cheeks. I talked to Mom every single day about my promotion, my life, everything. But you? You just disappear and then show up at my party with this news? The escalation. Emma, please. I tried to keep my voice steady, conscious of the party guests who were now watching us like a social media drama unfolding in real time. I never meant for it to come out like this. After the previous miscarriages, Michael and I wanted to be sure. Oh, right. Emma cut me off, pulling out her phone. Her fingers flew over the screen as she scrolled through old messages. Is that why you've been ignoring all my texts? Look at this. I sent you photos of my office promotion celebration. My new team, everything. And all I got was congrats, with a single heart emoji. The party guests shifted uncomfortably. Some had their phones out, though they tried to be discreet about it. The photographer had stopped taking pictures, clearly unsure whether to continue documenting this moment. I needed time, I explained, feeling Michael's supportive hand on my back. The first trimester was really difficult, and after what happened before. It's always about you, isn't it? Emma's voice rose sharply. She downed the rest of her champagne and grabbed the bottle from the bar. My wedding gets ruined, and instead of helping me deal with the social media nightmare, you were too busy. I finally get this huge promotion, try to celebrate it properly, and you somehow make it all about your pregnancy. Diana stepped between us, her hands raised placatingly. Girls, please. Emma, sweetheart, this is wonderful news for all of us. We can still celebrate both. Both? Emma laughed bitterly, her carefully styled hair falling out of place as she shook her head. Look at everyone's faces, Mom. Nobody cares about my promotion anymore. It's all about Sarah's miracle baby now. Moving inside. The nausea and stress were becoming overwhelming. I needed to get away from the crowd, the smell of alcohol, and the accusatory glares from my sister. I need to use the bathroom, I mumbled, heading toward the house. The main floor bathroom was occupied, the sound of music from someone's phone mixing with the party noise outside. Fighting back waves of queasiness, I climbed the stairs to use the master bathroom, gripping the handrail tightly. After splashing cold water on my face, I took a moment to breathe, one hand resting protectively over my baby bump. Through the bathroom door, I could hear footsteps in the hallway. When I opened the door, Emma stood there, her iPhone clutched in her hand. The blue light from its screen cast harsh shadows on her face. The confrontation escalates. Are you really pregnant? Emma's words slurred slightly. Her Instagram perfect makeup had smudged around her eyes. Or is this just another way to steal attention? The accusation stung. Of course I'm pregnant, Emma. Why would I lie about something like this? She waved her phone at me, open to our family's WhatsApp group. Mom texts you every day, and you never mentioned it. Not once. But now you show up at my party on my big night. Emma, I didn't plan this. Aunt Patricia, maybe. She cut me off, her voice turning cruel. Maybe this one will end up like the others. Then you won't have to worry about stealing my spotlight anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. How dare you? My voice shook with rage and hurt. I was there for you after the wedding disaster. I helped you handle all the social media fallout, spent nights at your apartment. Yet you couldn't tell me about this? She gestured at my stomach. Some sister you are. I turned away, fighting back tears. My feet felt heavy as I moved toward the stairs, eager to find Michael and leave. Emma followed close behind, her voice growing louder as she continued her tirade about my selfishness. The incident. As I reached the top of the stairs, my phone buzzed with another concerned message from Michael. The house security camera light blinked steadily in the corner of the hallway. I was about to take my first step down when I felt a sudden, forceful shove from behind. Time seemed to slow down. The security camera's red light blinked once as I lost my balance, my arms instinctively wrapping around my stomach to protect my baby. The polished wooden stairs rushed up to meet me as I fell forward. No, I screamed, trying desperately to grab the railing. The force of the fall twisted my body, and I felt a sickening crack as my wrists took the brunt of the impact. Pain shot through my arms as I tumbled down the remaining stairs. The aftermath. Sarah. Michael's voice cut through the haze of pain. The party music outside stopped abruptly, replaced by the sound of running feet and gasps. Through tears of pain, I could see the partygoers crowding the doorway, phones forgotten in their hands. She pushed me, I managed to say through clenched teeth, the pain in my wrists nearly unbearable. Emma pushed me down the stairs. Michael's face transformed with rage as he looked up at Emma, who stood frozen at the top of the stairs. The security camera's light continued to blink steadily behind her. Call 911, Michael shouted, carefully cradling me. She's pregnant, for God's sake. What were you thinking? Diana rushed forward, looking between her daughters in horror. Emma, tell me you didn't. Emma's perfectly made-up face crumpled as she began to cry, mascara running down her cheeks. I was drunk. I didn't mean. It was just supposed to be a prank. A prank? Michael's voice was deadly quiet. You pushed a pregnant woman down the stairs as a prank? The sound of sirens grew closer as Emma collapsed into Diana's arms, sobbing about how it wasn't supposed to happen like this. The party photographer stood in shock, her professional camera hanging forgotten at her side, while several guests had their phones up, recording everything. At the hospital, the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room made everything seem surreal. Michael dozed uncomfortably in the visitor's chair, his construction company jacket draped over him like a blanket. The steady beeping of monitors provided an odd sense of comfort as I drifted in and out of consciousness. Sarah? Michael's voice was gentle as he noticed me stirring. He helped me sip some water, careful of the 4 lines and my freshly casted wrists. The doctor checked on you while you were sleeping. The baby's fine. Relief flooded through me, bringing fresh tears to my eyes. What happened after? Michael's face hardened. The police took statements from everyone at the party. The security camera footage is clear. Emma deliberately pushed you. They're waiting to take your official statement to press charges. The call. My phone lit up with Emma's number. Michael hesitated before answering and putting it on speaker. Sarah? Emma's voice sounded strange. almost detached. I was so tired of you always being the center of attention in our family. You have everything: a husband, a baby on the way. Last night was supposed to be about me. I stared at the phone in disbelief as she continued. And pushing you? It was just meant to scare you. I didn't think you were actually pregnant at first. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. Not a big deal? My voice shook. You could have killed my baby. Well, she replied, her tone turning defensive. Maybe next time you'll think twice before stealing my spotlight. I heard rustling on the other end. Then Diana's voice came through. Sarah, sweetie, how are you feeling? Your father and I stayed with Emma all night. We've been so worried. The family confrontation. You stayed with Emma? I couldn't keep the disbelief from my voice. I'm in the hospital with 2 broken wrists, and you stayed with her? Honey, Emma's not in a good mental state right now, Diana pleaded. Your father and I have been talking to her, and we think, well, we're asking you not to press charges. It was just a drunk mistake. Michael's hand tightened around mine as I responded. A drunk mistake? Mom, there's security camera footage of her deliberately pushing me. She hasn't even apologized. Sarah, my mother's voice turned stern. Emma's been diagnosed with depression. She feels terrible about what happened. With your baby coming, we could finally be a happy family again. Let's just put this behind us. Put this behind us? I sat up straighter in the hospital bed. She could have killed my baby, and you want me to just forget about it. Listen carefully. Diana's voice hardened. If you press charges against your sister, your father and I will disinherit you. This could ruin Emma's entire career. Think about what you're doing to this family. The decision. After ending the call, I looked at Michael, seeing the same anger I felt reflected in his eyes. The security camera footage had already been uploaded to the police database, and several party guests had sent me their phone recordings of the aftermath. I'm pressing charges, I said firmly. I don't care about their inheritance. I care about protecting our baby. Michael nodded, pulling out his own phone. I'm calling the police investigator now. And Sarah? I think we should get a restraining order too. If she could do this while you're pregnant. Legal proceedings. The following weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings and medical appointments. Emma was arrested, her perfectly curated social media presence suddenly silent. My parents bombarded us with calls and messages, which we eventually silenced. 1 month later, the court proceedings moved quickly, thanks to the clear security camera footage and multiple witness statements. Emma's lawyer, paid for by my parents, presented a polished defense. Given that it was her first offense, the judge sentenced her to probation, mandatory counseling, and ordered her to cover my medical expenses. My parents still refused to speak to me directly, instead sending messages through other family members about how I'd destroyed the family. Michael's relatives, however, rallied around us, offering support and helping prepare for the baby's arrival. 5 months later, the morning sun streamed through the hospital window as I held our newborn son, Michael beaming proudly beside us. The peace of the moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Sarah? Diana stood in the doorway, clutching a giant teddy bear. I heard from Cousin Jenny that you'd given birth. Your father's parking the car. We brought gifts to celebrate. Michael immediately moved to stand between my hospital bed and the door. What are you doing here? We're grandparents now, Diana said, as if the last 5 months hadn't happened. We brought presents for the baby. Your father has a whole basket of things in the car. You lost the right to be grandparents. Michael's voice was firm but controlled. You chose to support Emma after she pushed your pregnant daughter down the stairs. You threatened to disinherit Sarah for pressing charges. And now you show up unannounced? James appeared behind Diana, carrying an elaborate gift basket. Now listen here. We have every right to see our grandson. No, you don't, I spoke up, holding my son closer. You chose Emma over me, over your grandchild's safety. Michael, please ask them to leave. If you don't leave now, Michael's voice was steel. We'll call security and file for a restraining order against you two. We already have one against Emma. Diana's face contorted with anger. You can't keep us from our grandchild. We're family. Family doesn't push pregnant women downstairs, I responded. And family doesn't defend those who do. Please leave. After they finally left, Michael and I looked at each other, and then at our son. I'll call the security company tomorrow, Michael said. We'll have cameras installed around the house, just to be safe. I nodded, feeling a mix of sadness and relief as I held our baby closer. Sometimes protecting your child means making difficult choices, even if it means letting go of the family you were born into to protect the family you've created.